Welcome to Great Talking Entertainment. I'm your host, KJ, and this is the YouTube channel where I review movies and TV shows from all your favorite superheroes, including Marvel Comics, DC Comics, and much more. Please subscribe to my YouTube channel, Great Talking Entertainment official channel. Now let's go, baby. Welcome back to the YouTube channel, everyone. My name is KJ, and I'm your host. And today is my spoiler review for episode 3 of Hulu's new series called The Twisted Tales of Amanda Knox. And this is episode 3 of it. And this is my spoiler review. So if you have not seen this, please pause this. But before you go, could you hit the thumbs up button? That would help my YouTube channel grow, and I would truly appreciate that. And thank you in advance. Come back and let me know what you think about episode 3 of The Twisted Tales of Amanda Knox. So again, this is a spoiler review. Y'all been warned. Now, let's get into it. This episode starts off with the male detective just explaining how he became one, and he just like became a fan of it from cowboy shows and old detective shows that were in black and white. And he obviously has a passion for his city. He even made a vow to God, like he will lead justice. And this all led up to Amanda Knox. And this might have been his biggest, like, crime case that he has conducted and done in his entire career as a detective or a prosecute, whatever they call it over there. But, you know, this is his big thing. Now, the next scene shows Amanda and Meredith. Now, this is what I wish they show more, is these two together before the incident, because this took place on October 29th, 2007 at 9:31 p.m. And they seem to be really good friends. You know, they seem like sisters, like best friends. You know, they never hate on each other. And they seem to have gotten along. So, but we got to understand, though, that this is the viewpoint of Amanda Knox, because the police, obviously, something different from the evidence that they have found, or they tried to build on it. So it's kind of confusing. But, and then it goes back to the scene as Amanda is getting a cavity check, which is just pretty much strip her down butt naked and check to make sure she's not smuggling anything, basically. But she seems embarrassed. She seems scared. She's obviously cold. And she's not really good at understanding the Italian language. So, you know, what's interesting, what I see out of this, too, is she's showing, like, emotions. Like, but I think she's more scared of, she's stuck obviously in prison because, you know, this is an odd situation and there's so much going on with her. And, you know, the way she's telling it, it just seems like she's innocent. But throughout this episode, we see like the police version, which it's hard to tell now. What I notice is this particular episode, for episode 3, maybe episode 4 might not be the case, but they seem very well blended in, where you can't really tell the difference of who's telling the truth and who's not, just based on that. So, you know, it's just a different thing. Now, obviously, they dated this on November 6, 2007 at 10:23 a.m., and this is day 1 in prison, as they locked her up and cover her TV, and they told her she can't use that TV. And this warden guy, he seems very creepy and in a nasty way, like perverted, which I'm not surprised. Now, Meredith, mom, and sister go see the body, as the detective has a preacher just kind of there to help there and pray over. And the detectives have evidence, and they have to figure out how to build this case. And now this takes place on November 7th, 2007 at 7:12 p.m. And this is night 2 in prison. So while she's in prison on her second night there, they're pretty much building this case. Now, the problem is they have all these evidence, but they're not enough to connect each and every one of them, because what they want to say is she's done some sex game, whatever, without people's consent of it at times. Maybe they got the right guy to put type of like stuff in people's adult beverage alcohol drinks to make them pass out, fall asleep, and take advantage of them. And then they also try to, make her the leader of it. Like maybe she's done this, right? Or she's doing this for a guy that she loves. Now, they haven't showed her current husband yet in the current times yet. So it's very interesting where he's at, right? And again, they're trying to figure out, but each detective has a lot of cases on there, and they caught her in multiple lies. And so what I'm thinking is some of this evidence doesn't make sense, or the timeline to their story that they're going to present this case to doesn't add up. So it seems like they still need a few more things to fill in the gap, to prove it, to make it as legit as they can make it in a court, right? So that's the issue that they're dealing with. Now again, this is night 2, and now Amanda is scared, obviously, and she's stressing out, and obviously this is prison. This is going out. So as soon as she gets some sleep, the warden is trying to get more information out of her by waking her up. This is a strategy to get more information out of a person. So this is a challenging thing for him to do, but they want to see her if she can slip up, but she seems like she's telling the truth. But who knows if she is, because again, in this episode, both of their stories, Amanda's story and the police story, are blending in so well. It's hard to tell who's telling the truth at this time and moment, because right now everything Amanda is feeling is just the idea that she's stuck in prison, and that's the most stressful, challenging thing for her right now, and she doesn't know how to deal with it. But she does write in her journals, and she's trying to do something with it, and she has yet seen her mom yet. But all she wants to do is talk to her mom because she's scared. And then we finally see Amanda's mom and her finally reunite and see each other, and they're just having a conversation, but it seems like they don't really have a strategy. But she does need a lawyer, but she does get 2 lawyers, but then 3 days later they found her guilty. So these lawyers didn't do well. So I'm assuming that these are not lawyers that she paid for, but maybe this is the lawyers that were assigned to her. Then we get this scene where we see this newspaper article. It says they found DNA of her on the weapon that she used on her roommate. But at the moment, it seems like a man is innocent, but there is no blood DNA to trace of this person's name Kelcher's DNA, because they just don't know. And then also, Amanda is tested for HIV, and she is tested positive. Now, we know she slept with a lot of people, but, this really shocked her, but she doesn't believe she's did. And then she is supposed to spend a year in prison, and we see Amanda Knox is obviously just upset, freaking out. She's frightened. Her lawyers don't even believe her, but I also see, like, she doesn't understand how to work with a lawyer. Like, lawyers don't care if you did it or not. They just need something to work with to win the court case, basically. So I want to believe, like, Amanda maybe didn't do it, but they're really, on this particular episode, are really claiming that she might have not done this, because we learned that in this episode too, that some of the DNA is false. You know, some of the stuff that the police and the detectives have been looking up just doesn't add up, and it's upsetting that male detective, because he's probably just trying to figure out, because they had the next hearing was about charging her with sexual assaults, like I said. But the problem is, too, at the same time, is Amanda keeps changing her story, saying she was confused and scared. And this is an intense, hearing and stuff. And then, like, she gets the news that her HIV report is false. So now it's looking good. But then we also see Amanda's cell getting raided and searched, and it looks like they took her journals. Now, what that means is they're trying to, at the same time, this is what I'm noticing, that everybody within that prison and the detectives and the police who are involved in this particular case is trying to set her up at the same time. So this is why I've been saying, like, at this moment right now, I would say Amanda seems more innocent. She seems more guilty in the first 2 episodes. But in this particular episode, she looks more innocent. Because if you think about it, why are everybody's trying so hard to find certain evidence? Why was the male detective upset that certain evidence weren't as solid as they think they were, and proving that her DNA on the knife wasn't actually it? Like, because it's getting bad. So now they have her journals of what she's writing, because they're trying to find something. To try to charge her with sexual assault is really crazy. And to search her cell is even not uncommon in prison, but the fact that they took it and they never gave her back to her is crazier. Now, this set her off, and she unwrapped, and then she turns on the TV, and she's watching the news. They're calling her the American Witch, Foxy Knoxy, and I would have a nervous breakdown too. But then again, at the end of the scene is there are no fingerprints that match Amanda and the 2 other people. So now this whole case is confusing, because now it seems like the police are wrong and Amanda's in the right. So now, just based on this, I'm not saying I know the actual real story of it, but again, that's how that episode ends. It's just, he's mad that the male detective's mad, but just again, based just on this episode and the first 2 episodes, not on the actual Amanda Knox, because I have no idea. But what I think they're trying to say on this show, in this particular episode, that the police are just now making things up, basically. Or they're just trying to stretch out the truth, basically. But Amanda has been very lucky. Like, when it looks bad and like it's the end, there's some type of hope. Like, DNA didn't match, fingerprints didn't match to the weapon. It's really hard now, since her test was actually false of having HIV. Now they can't really put sexual charges against her as much as they think they could, because of quote unquote sex games that she's into. That's nuts. So now I think the law of Italy is looking bad, and now they're calling her American Witch. Now, again, I believe at some point, either the next episode or before the end of this season, I think this is going to get back to to America, and they're going to get word of this, and this is how I think Amanda Knox got out of Italy, because America is going to protect an American, whether you believe it or not, they will at some point. And again, just based off this show, this seems like the evidence they have on her seems like they have a lot of flaws. You know, some don't add up. It's overlapping. And again, they haven't built a real case. And a lot of people within that case, some of them are truly believing maybe Amanda didn't do it. But they're trying to follow the law, the justice system rules. So it's very interesting with that. But episode 3 was definitely more about everybody on this case that's trying to put and keep Amanda in prison are actually failing. And everything, all their hard work they put into this so far is not working the right way, which is going to send a lot of them back to the drawing board. You know, they may have to revisit the crime scene again, but this is good for Amanda, because if they cannot keep her in prison unless they don't have actually any legit evidence to hold her in prison. So that's the thing, that she might get away with it in that case of it, because it seems like they just can't really pin so much on her. They just know her roommate is murdered. They know that Amanda and a couple other roommates lived in this one house. Yes, they know that she's been in multiple relationships. They know she's in a relationship in 2007. And so they know that, but is that good enough? No. And the only thing that can really get her on her is the pot, the Mary Jane. But again, that is a crime in Italy. But that's the only thing they can pin them on. But if they pin her on that, they have to pin that on all her roommates. And whether boyfriends or male friends who are involved, all have to get arrested for that. But again, they're not trying to arrest Amanda on that. They want to arrest her on some more serious charges, murder charges, basically. That's their goal. But the police and detectives in this case are failing that goal. So now we're going to wait and see what happens next. Because what I'm seeing so far, and what I just believe, is that I think this is where this becomes more an advantage for Amanda. And it's going to be interesting. Can her lawyers that she was assigned to help her use this against them to win this case? Is the interesting thing, because she's locked up. She can't visit the crime scene. She couldn't make phone calls to nobody. She hasn't talked to the boyfriend. She only got to talk to her mom for a little bit, but her mom's just confused and hasn't came up with a game plan, because she don't speak Italian, of course. So she's locked up. Anything they're trying to do now, she has nothing to do with it, because she's in the prison. All she's getting asked is same questions over and over again in different ways. And they're trying to do the good cop, bad cop on her, but it's not really working. All they're doing is making her stressed out. But if they wear her down, she may give up. But at some point, if she finds out like all that evidence they got on her is not really working, then I would hope she would use that as an advantage to win that case, that hearing. Because, you know, at some point throughout this episode, it did, like I said, it didn't look good, but now it's looking good for her. And what I like about that is it just shows the dynamic of, like, the media will put a spin on it, but it's not a good spin. Even the media outlets cannot convince people that she's guilty. But this also reflects that it can convince people to think a person is guilty. You know, Roxy, or Roxy Foxy, whatever they called her. or the American Witch. Like, that's not good. That's not good, and that's not going to help the court case, because now everybody's involved. The people are involved. The journalisms, the podcasters are involved. That's not going to help any kind of court case, but they're gonna try their best throughout all the stops. So it's very interesting. So what I think is going to happen is, I think Amanda Knox's current boyfriend in 2007, I think he's going to start snitching. I think they're going to give him a plea, and they say, if you tell us this and this, we'll give you this deal type thing. So that's what I think is going to go to next, because I think whatever they can get anybody else to admit to or agree that Amanda did this or that, it would help. So now, if they can get everybody who's involved with Amanda to turn on Amanda, that would help the police officers in this case work against her, not for her. So that's the next thing I think they're going to try to pull off, because really they just try to stress her out, wear her down emotionally and mentally, just to see if they can get her to crack. And they have, but I don't think she's admitting to anything else. She's just saying she's scared and confused. So she's not giving up, but it's a brutal thing on her. So that's just my opinion on how I see it. So do I think she's innocent based off of 3 episodes? I would say yes. I think she is innocent. Just because if this is all they got so far, it's not really good enough to put on a person. It's not good enough to convince people that she's guilty. I think you got to lead a little bit more information, and you just got to have something really to make it make sense. And they have not found a way to make it make sense to go against her. So that's why I think she's innocent, just based on episode 3. That's all I'm saying, everybody. But that is my spoiler review. Please subscribe to my YouTube channel, Great Talking Entertainment official channel. Subscribe, hit that notification button so you can always be up to date with all my latest content. Thank you guys, and peace